What can literature tell us about the human experience? Hi, I'm Zoe Schlossnagle, and I'm a senior at Reservoir High School. I wanted to open with this quote from Raymond Carver's Cathedral. Quote, "I'm always learning something, the learning never ends." Every teacher will tell you life is about learning. My parents constantly tell me that learning is forever and grades are for now. Learning is what gives life value and meaning. Our brains are meant to learn about life and how to go through it. We're all human, including the authors and creators we discovered this semester. By expressing what these authors have gathered from their human experience, we can use it in learning about ours, human to human. As we age, we learn from others. We learn how to speak and talk from our parents. We learn how to read from our teachers, and we learn how to communicate with others through social interaction. However, some of the stuff we learn isn't exactly beneficial to our personal growth and can often hold us back. Once we are older, we learn more about ourselves and how we can explore our interests and break free from the often deeply ingrained societal standards learned in our youth. Cathedral is the story of a man whose wife invites her blind friend Robert over. The husband is incredibly nervous and lets some of his ingrained prejudice shine through in his narration. Quote, "A blind man in my house was not something I looked forward to," end quote. By growing up watching the media and seeing the world through Hollywood's biased eyes, the husband had developed an otherism towards Robert. However, towards the end of the story, when Robert and the husband bond over drawing the cathedral, he feels freed. His experience with Robert felt otherworldly, and he felt as though he was learning and truly understanding someone else. Quote, "I was in my house, I knew that, but I didn't feel like I was inside anything." End quote. He was freed of his expectations and societal pressures and could understand people better. This is an example of the benefits of learning from others in society. Learning from those whose narratives have been silenced can better individuals and society as a whole. Going against the grain of society, especially in situations where society is painfully prejudiced, can open your mind. Conformity is a natural part of society. It teaches us how to survive, and it's an evolutionary advantage most of the time. The good parts of conformity, like the standards of wearing clothing in public and waiting in line, are some examples of how conformity serves to work as a code of ethics that most of us agree on. Without these basics, the human experience would be a complete disaster. However, conformity can go a little too far and affect the way we think and feel about ourselves. The end of this Psychology Today quote reads, "The individual's underlying beliefs and attitudes may begin to shift as the opinions and behaviors of the group become ingrained and automatic." In The Yellow Wallpaper, a woman descends into psychosis as a result of feeling trapped by her husband and society's views about women. In this quote, you can see her struggle with her identity as she flip-flops between "I am suffering" to an internally misogynistic thought of "it's only nervousness." By discrediting her feelings, she shows that she has internalized society's views. She's continually fighting between who she thinks she is and who others think she is. Society has formed her, and she's going crazy trying to fight it. The Yellow Wallpaper is one of the earlier pieces of feminist literature to become widely popular, having been written before the 19th Amendment was adopted. In Boys and Girls, a little girl's dreams are crushed by her family's ideals and the patriarchal society that's heavily present in America. For the beginning of the story, the narrator, an unnamed little girl, dreams of running her family's fox farm and doing everything her father does. She loved caring for animals, going out, and doing the typical manly stuff. Her father and her family tolerated it. When she lets a horse run free to escape slaughter, her family puts her back in her place. Through these experiences, she discovers what society is actually like and how others will perceive her for the rest of her life. By learning from her parents and her family, specifically from how society has molded them to be, she is molded to fit their ideal version of her, a quiet, submissive, girly girl. From her surroundings and from her family, she learned how the human experience was going to be for her as a woman in patriarchal America. In Boys and Girls and The Yellow Wallpaper, the characters are simultaneously fighting for their individualism, but they're fighting with themselves. Through society and the human experience, everyone internalizes that everyone must be like everyone else. When someone is different, they get bullied and discriminated against and hurt. In Cathedral, the husband expanded his thinking. He accepted Robert and felt like he understood what it was like to be blind, and he lost that internalized stigma that came with his life in society. So that begs the question, how do the rest of us find ourselves in a society that wants us to be the same? In Wildwood, Lola, a Dominican American teenager in New York City, has an incredibly difficult and tense relationship with her mother, to say the least. This and the pressure to fit the Dominican American girl stereotype predetermined by society sparked a rebellious phase. In a mission to find herself, she dyes and cuts her hair, she skips school, she goes out to bars and parties, and eventually she runs away with her older boyfriend to New Jersey. Lola lives out what American culture has deemed a sort of teenage dream: independence, freedom, and an ability to do whatever you want. Movies and TV shows are obsessed with the teenage dream. From movies like The Perks of Being a Wallflower to Napoleon Dynamite, society capitalizes on the need to escape society's pressures, and in so doing, markets a product that is almost impossible to achieve. Juno Diaz exposes these problems and pokes holes in the teenage dream. When Lola runs away, she feels more alone and more depressed than ever and ends up finding more joy back with her extended family in Santo Domingo. Authors write to express themselves, musicians play to express themselves, and artists create to express themselves. It's a safe haven of imagination and expression, and allows them to air out their dirty laundry with society, with themselves, and with the people in their life. And that's how you find yourself. That's the human experience. It's finding something that expresses yourself that helps you grow. For my critical approaches essay, I analyzed Daddy by Sylvia Plath, which is by far my favorite piece we've covered in this class. The poem is a deep confession about her relationship with her late father, and the Holocaustal imagery truly shows the extent of her pain. I feel this poem is a good representation of the human experience. She is aware of the internalized societal views she has, as displayed in the quote, "Every woman adores a fascist, the boot in the face, the brute heart of a brute like you," end quote. And she understands the need to escape that pressure. Plath uses writing to express her qualms with society and with her inner monologue. She expresses herself, she finds herself, and she exposes the systems of society that forced her to feel the way she does. Criticizing literature from the multitude of lenses we covered in this class allow us to explore the author's past and help us understand the author's human experience and how they move forward, how they explore who they are. All of this boils down to a 3-step process. 1, learning from society and others. Conforming to what everyone else thinks you should be can be harmful, and a good way to break that away from that line of thinking is to expose yourself to people outside of society's comfort zone. It can only help you to expand your thinking, intelligence, and acceptance. Number 2, fighting the conformity, because finding yourself is incredibly difficult, and fighting the conformity is even harder. But when you find something that works and helps you express yourself, you begin to grow. And finally, the human experience puts it all together. Exposing yourself to people who help you grow, as the husband did in Cathedral, escaping the conformist pressures that you see in the boys and girls and the yellow wallpaper, and finding yourself as Lola did in Wildwood, and then moving forward in society doing something that helps you grow inside and out, just as these authors did. Through the literature discussed and read throughout the semester, one can see that the human experience is all about trying to find ourselves in a conformist society that praises only a certain brand of individuality. American society glamorizes breaking the mold and finding yourself and trying to escape and make yourself unique. Yet it's society that pushes everyone to be the same. It's a contradictory disaster that no one can navigate, and literature serves as both an expose and an escape. So my question for you is, how do you express yourself to escape the pressures of society? Thank you so much.